Somewhere out there right now, two boats are sitting at anchor. And if you only looked at the listing photos, you'd never guess how differently their stories actually turned out. Both cost real money. Both call themselves ocean-capable trawlers. Both have the profile, the flybridge, the traditional lines that this whole category is supposed to promise. One of them has owners who'd buy it again tomorrow without a second thought. The other has owners who worked on it professionally, saw the same problems show up on boat after boat, and still won't recommend it to a friend. Same category, same promise on paper, completely different reality underneath. Let's talk about both, with real quotes from real people who've actually lived with these boats, not brochure copy. Start with the one-star side. And I want to be specific instead of vague, because vague is useless to you as an actual buyer standing on a dock with a checkbook in hand and a decision to make. Bluewater Yachts. On paper, this sounds like exactly the kind of name you'd want on a long-range trawler. The words alone promise capability, the kind of confidence a company builds into its own name when it's genuinely proud of what it makes and wants that pride reflected right there on the transom. In practice, the reviews tell a completely different story, and they come from someone who actually worked on multiple blue water holes professionally, not a single disgruntled one-time owner venting about one bad boat they happen to get stuck with. Here's the comparison from that same thread that actually stuck with me, because it's the kind of detail no brochure would ever willingly put in writing. A Bayliner 4788. A boat from a completely mainstream mass-market brand that nobody on Earth would ever call prestigious or premium, was sitting at the same dock as a Bluewater, and the owner who'd worked on both boats described the Bayliner as more coastal capable and genuinely better built. Sit with that comparison for a second, because it's actually a bigger deal than it sounds like on the surface. You've got a brand name that sounds like it belongs in the same conversation as Nordvane and Krogan, getting outperformed on real, structural, verifiable points by a production boat most people associate with weekend cruising and casual coastal runs, not serious offshore passages. That's not a coincidence, and it's definitely not bad luck. That's what happens when a company builds the profile and the marketing language of a serious trawler without matching it underneath with the actual engineering that word trawler is supposed to guarantee you're getting. And here's the part that should genuinely worry you if you're shopping anywhere in this category, at any price point. Deck delamination and dry rot don't announce themselves loudly. They don't show up as a warning light on the dash or a strange noise from the engine room that sends you straight to a mechanic. They sit quietly under fiberglass and teak for years, sometimes over a full decade, getting steadily worse the entire time, while everything looks completely fine from the outside, until a proper survey finally catches it. Or worse, until you're the one who finds it the hard way, 300 miles offshore in weather you can't just turn around and avoid. A one-star boat almost never looks like a one-star boat in the listing photos. It looks exactly like a five-star boat, right up until someone with a moisture meter and real hands-on experience with that specific brand gets aboard and actually starts checking behind the panels. If you're finding this useful, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. This channel exists to catch exactly this kind of gap between marketing and reality before it costs you real money. And before you get anywhere near a survey on a boat this size, in either direction, you need to know exactly what to check and in what specific order. That's the entire reason we built the free boat buyer's checklist in the first place. It's not a generic list pulled from a magazine. It's built directly around the exact kind of hidden failure that just quietly sank the Bluewater's reputation for anyone who actually does the homework first. Links in the description and pinned in the comments.
Now the five-star side, and this one has a completely different texture to it from the very first sentence, because the praise isn't coming from a marketing department trying to close a sale. It's coming from independent owners telling the same basic story on their own, years apart in different interviews without ever comparing notes with each other. The Fleming 65. A couple named their boat's discovery moment directly in an owner interview, and it's worth hearing in full because of how quickly it happened.
They were aboard their own sailboat, anchored in Nassau, admiring a Fleming tied up nearby, when the owner noticed them looking and invited them aboard for a look around. They said flatly, in their own words, that their minds were made up that day. Not eventually, after months of research and sea trials and spreadsheets comparing 5 different brands. The actual day they first stepped aboard one.
That's one story from one couple. Here's the pattern sitting behind it across the wider ownership community. Trawler forum threads about Fleming are full of the exact same kind of unprompted enthusiasm from people with no reason to exaggerate for an audience. One member wrote that if they hit the lottery tomorrow, they'd be boarding their brand new 65 within the week. No hesitation, no more shopping around. And in that same thread, a completely different member confirmed a real passage on one. San Diego to Friday Harbor, 6 full days, one single fuel stop the entire way, averaging 10 knots, running 24 hours a day without a break. That's not a marketing claim written by someone in an office. That's an owner describing an actual passage with actual numbers in exactly the same specific, detail-heavy format the Bluewater owner used to describe real, specific problems. Same format, same level of detail, opposite result entirely. And then there's the number that actually matters most on any boat in this category, more than teak trim or interior finish or how the salon photographs. Across more than 300 Flemings currently cruising the world right now, the company states plainly there has never been a single hull breach from impact or grounding. Not one, across an entire fleet, over decades of real ownership in real conditions.
On a boat built specifically to go places where hitting something unexpected, a container, a log, an uncharted rock, is a real possibility and not just a hypothetical worst-case scenario in a sales pitch. That's the kind of track record you simply cannot fake with a nice paint job or a well-lit brochure photo. Tony Fleming himself was aboard one of his own 65s, running from Scotland to Iceland, when the boat dropped hard into a trough off a breaking 12-foot crest. And when a writer traveling with him described the entire hull shuddering under the impact of ice-cold water crashing over it, Fleming didn't flinch and didn't apologize for the ride.
He just turned to the writer and said calmly, "This is why we build them like we do." That's a company founder in the exact kind of weather his boats are designed and engineered for, watching his own engineering do precisely what it was supposed to do, in real time, with a witness. The honest picture on the Fleming side isn't that it's flawless or beyond criticism. It's that the higher price reflects real, specific engineering decisions made deliberately to prevent the exact category of failures we just spent 5 minutes describing on the Bluewater side.
You're paying for the deck that doesn't delaminate a decade later, the wiring that doesn't quietly fail behind a panel, the hull that doesn't breach when it meets something it wasn't expecting. On a 5 or 6 figure difference in price between boats that look superficially similar in a listing photo, that's not vanity spending. That's the actual product you're taking home, whether you ever fully see it or not.
So here's what actually separates a 1-star trawler from a 5-star trawler. And it's not the profile shot in the listing photo. And it's honestly not even always the price tag by itself, since plenty of overpriced boats still hide real problems. It's whether the company that built it was solving for how the boat looks tied up at the dock on a sunny afternoon, or how the boat performs 300 miles from the nearest dock, in weather nobody planned for and nobody can turn around and avoid. Bluewater built the look, and word got around eventually, the way it always does in a community this connected. Fleming built the boat itself first, and the look came along with it afterward.
Mostly because good engineering tends to end up looking pretty good anyway, once you stop cutting corners to save weight or money. Before you write a check on anything in this category, at any price point, get the checklist, get a specialist survey from someone who actually knows that specific brand's history, and talk to real current owners directly, not just the broker or the brochure sitting in front of you.
The difference between these two boats was never visible from the dock on the day of the sale. It's visible 3 years and 3,000 miles later, out where it actually matters, which is exactly the moment you don't want to be the one finding out the hard way.